There hasn't been a new asset class since the bond market in 1693. Well, now there's a new asset class, and it is the digital asset space. The question is, are you participating? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is a digital asset space. What is going on, guys? Happy Wednesday to you. Yeah, Generational Wealth Wednesday today as well. Don't forget to tune in, guys, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Wealth Wednesdays, where we talk and discuss generational wealth strategies. So listen, guys, listen. Shout out to Arturo Portilla, I believe. Yep, Arturo Portilla on Twitter who shared this. I can't remember if I had this before or not, but the role of blockchain in banking. But it's a good read. Absolutely, thank you, Arturo Portilla, for sharing this. Absolutely awesome. The XRP community is absolutely outstanding. So, guys, listen, I'm going to go over this a little bit. I'm also going to go over something, if I remember, that hopefully I have it from Shay. Hopefully I did not lose that, but there it is right there. From Shay Wang as well. She did an article on Spring on the blog at spring.io. So yeah, absolutely going to share that as well, guys. So listen, this is your XRP Ripple daily news in 0 to 10 minutes. Let's go through this PDF here. It's the role of blockchain in banking, and this is from the OMFIF. They also have something called Digital Transfer Institute or Digital Blockchain Institute, something like that as well. OMFIF. Contents, the preface, what is blockchain, the industry approach, regulation, future trends in blockchain, banking, technology consideration for future implementation, regulatory, and governance challenge that remain. So I like this. This is in this consultation paper, the OMFIF and the CCBU investigate the effects of blockchain and distributed ledger technology on financial institutions' business model. The study focuses on the motivations underpinning financial institutions' decisions to adopt blockchain, their participation in consortia, groups of companies collaborating to develop common objectives and standards for blockchain and DLT. And what they do is they spotlight people and fintechs that are in the space looking to do, significant things in blockchain, right? So the blockchain solution says here, section 1, blockchain functions and limitations. So it's just, again, it's a really, really good read. But what I do want to go over is just a couple of times where they talk Ripple and the greatest digital asset, in my opinion, ever created, which is XRP. So here it has financial sector favors permission-based consortium model. Permission-based, yeah, so that, right? So you need permission to access the blockchain, access the network, and it gives examples of public and consortium blockchains and private blockchains, right? So public would be something like Bitcoin, right? Anybody can participate. Consortium blockchain would be like R3, Hyperledger, Fabric. So there's R3, then there's Hyperledger, Fabric, then there's Quorum and Ethereum, right? Private, something like Link, a stock exchange platform for NASDAQ unlisted companies. So let me go to the spotlight. For us, those of us interested in XRP and Ripple, guys, definitely go to Arturo's thing down and go to the Twitter where it tells you how to download this, because you definitely want to increase your IQ, level up your IQ, as we like to say. Banks commits to methodical digital transformation. There's another chart here. Blockchain networks to address cross-border pains. Large global banks, medium-sized commercial banks, fintech using cryptos, and then central banks. And of course, for fintechs using cryptos, they list Ripple, partner with banks and financial institutions. When they list a digital asset, they're talking tokenization, available and characteristics. And it has XRP publicly traded over exchanges controlled by Ripple. I don't know about that. governance platform, decentralized Ripple network. So it's a really, really good, they did a really, really good job. And then they spotlight different kind of technologies and what they're looking to do, talking about JP Morgan's coin here. But here's the spotlight for Ripple. And I really like it. It was really, really, really well put together. So let me do this and then I'll read their spotlight. So you can only achieve success and gain interest from all the different parties if you start with sufficient core coverage. And that's why you need to participate in the consortium. Okay. All right. So here's the spotlight on Ripple. So they just kind of continue on there with that. Let me read the spotlight. Spotlight Ripple says, rather than compete with large banking companies, Ripple plans to partner with leading financial institutions and provide them with a blockchain solution. Instead of converting dollars into other currencies, which entails exchange rate costs, processing fees, and slow transaction times, one bank can transfer, for example, $5 million worth of XRP to another bank's Ripple's portfolio, which can then be converted into local currency. Ripple is seeking, and I have to say shout out to Sam I Am to Lipo, because he was really one of the first people to kind of bring that to my attention, and I think to the vast majority of people in the XRP community. Ripple is seeking to position itself as an alternative to SWIFT. Its software controls the relevant bank's funds and updates each party's accounting books. The settlement process is completed in seconds. By consolidating liquidity to service international payments from many disjointed international Nostro accounts into one XRP pool, respondent banks allocate less total liquidity to service the same volume of global payments. The bank only has to hold its domestic currency and maintain one account with XRP, with only enough XRP to service its largest expected payment application. The process minimizes the number of intermediaries and their markup on spreads. Guys, and listen, you know, we said this on this channel all the time. If we know this, if we know, then they know. And that is so very important to understand. Like it just, the OMFIF, they know. Okay, the Ripple partners, those on RippleNet, those using RippleNet, they know. The WEF, the IMF, the World Bank, the central banks, the BIS, they know. They are all in agreement, right? We say this all the time. They are all in agreement when it comes to blockchain and DLT. Those people I just mentioned, they're all in agreement on this one thing. Cross-border payments is a challenge that needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed right now. And the leader in solving the pain points that come with cross-border payments is Ripple and their distributed and their digital asset XRP. That's their answer. Ripple's answer to their problem. They know it. And if you want to see the WEF and the World Bank and the BIS move forward in cross-border payments, move forward in blockchain DLT technology, it is going to be through cross-border payments first. And it's going to, and the lead in that space is Ripple. That's really the long and the short of it, right? When you're trying to explain to people about digital assets, trying to talk to people more importantly about Ripple, that is it. The world, those entities, they recognize and acknowledge that the pain point is cross-border payments for everyone. For everyone, not just us, you and I, retail, for everyone. They realize that, right? Because banks deal in cross-border payments as well, right? Central banks deal in cross-border payments as well. So all of these entities, these powers that be, if you will, they all agree on that pain point. And Ripple is the leader in solving the pain point. It checks all the boxes, regulatory, compliant, It checks all of these different boxes. Looking to work in consortium, looking to work together as opposed to not working together, right? So the Ripple checks all of these boxes. You can pick up a phone call and address the customer service issue. Ripple checks all the boxes, and Ripple has made and put the world on notice that the answer to these cross-border payments involves XRP. It is, without fact, the cheapest, most efficient way. It's the main cost cutter, and that's massively important to these banks. They're in the business of making money. So, and the world recognizes that. So the process minimizes the number of intermediaries and their markup on spreads, and that's another massive part. You take out the intermediaries. You're taking them out. The cost savings is there. And never mind the fact that all of this stuff is going to be done in seconds. It is significantly massive. It really, really is significantly massive. And they talk about the ISO 02022 in here as well, where Ripple just got nominated to be part of the standards body. You think that's an accident? Right? You think they just had an open spot and they needed someone to fill it, right? It is massive in a lot of ways. This I got to tell you, this PDF is really in depth, and it does a really, really good job here. It really, really does. But I just wanted to, for you guys to highlight Ripple. Let me share another article with you. I just think is so very, very good, and that is from Shay Wang. And she points out and highlights, because one of the biggest, my friend said to me the other day, the biggest challenge with people today is the only thing they know comes from the misconception of someone that they know, right? Right. And so you people hear stuff and then they run with it. XRP isn't really being used. The banks will never use it. And so instead of that person taking the time to do their own due diligence so that they can come to their own conclusion, they just, oh yeah, your people on Twitter said XRP is not being used. It's not going to be used. So Shay Wang did a thing here on Spring's blog, how XRP enables faster, low-cost exchange transfers. So the recent financial market crumble has put crypto networks and their stakeholders to the test. Remember this, right? Remember this past one. Brutal. As BTC dropped 50%, right? So as market activities increased, network congestion on Ethereum and Bitcoin reached unprecedented levels. By the way, shout out to Crypto Eddie, who let the XRP community, as far as I know, she was the first one to let people know about the fact that Shay Wang actually did this article. So shout out to the awesome Crypto Eddie, right? BTC reached unprecedented level of transaction fees for both assets exceeded 5x the norm. Wow, the fees 5x. Wow. Moving these currencies in and out of exchanges became extremely difficult due to high fees and delaying process. We saw evidence that many users, especially Ethereum users, may be shifting to the digital asset XRP for exchange balance transfers. And we are not surprised by that, right? XRP was designed with value transfer on top of mind, right? It is reliable and affordable across a wide range of network load. And this is just going to be the word. Listen, if the people in the crypto community are realizing this, right, in the crypto community where they continue, where there tends to be camps, right, right, or sometimes it's their armies, right, siloed, and they just root for their digital asset only, unfortunately, right. So if those communities are realizing, to get these balance transfers, you got to use XRP. And people from Ethereum, the second largest, are realizing it, acknowledging this and doing that. That's very, very powerful, that they understand if they want to move their assets, they're going to have to do it via XRP. XRP was designed with value transfer on top of mind, right? It is reliable and affordable across a wide range of network loads. XRP exchange inflows and outflows rise as Ethereum transaction fees increase. So in other words, the fees were just getting crazy. People were starting to do their exchange flows in and out using XRP so that they can move their assets, right? So it's a value transfer. Transaction fees and gas price are robust measures of Ethereum network health. Higher fees means that users pay a premium to have their transactions included in blocks sooner or at all. Yeah, I've done the gas fees. I've done it. I've raised them. I've done the thing to make it get there quicker, right? So this is just a diagram here. It talks about when ETH cost per transaction is higher, there are also more XRP cross-exchange transactions, right? They're using XRP to move their stuff. This is especially true for days when ETH cost levels indicate severe network congestion. The metric we use is median cost, and we saw a stark effect when comparing mean, right? On days when Ethereum fees skyrocketed, XRP cross-exchange transaction also increased significantly. Overall, higher Ethereum fees correlate with higher volumes in XRP. There it is. I like that. For example, on March 12th of 2020, Ethereum transaction fees rose over 400%. That same day, XRP cross-exchange transactions rose 226%. People were hopping off of ETH, of that platform, and moving their stuff via XRP. Moving it via XRP. Because it was expensive to do so on the Ethereum blockchain. That's just the bottom line. So, the chart above shows ETH medium cost per transaction. There it is. The chart above shows how strong the relation is for each level of Ethereum transaction fee. This relation is weaker but still existent when Ethereum fees are within a normal range, and strongest when Ethereum is at its lowest and highest. This means when Ethereum fees are lower, XRP cross-exchange transactions decrease. So it makes sense. Congestion gets high on Ethereum, the fees start to go up. People start to begin to use XRP to move their stuff. If the congestion isn't bad, they stay on Ethereum, right? Because the fees aren't bad. It just makes sense for people using ETH, right? It doesn't, if it's not going to be congested and the fee is going to be down, then they stay on it. But when it starts to get congested and bogged down and the fees start to get off, they know there's a cheaper, faster way to move the digital assets. It's the bottom line. It's also important to note that Ethereum and Bitcoin cross-exchange transaction slightly decreased with higher network congestion. The observed XRP transaction increase is likely a result of traders using XRP as an alternative rebalancing asset. Yes, there it is right there. So I think it's really, really important. Shout out to Shay Wang for doing this and letting people understand and get a better sense of what is going on. XRP is cheap to move despite market conditions. As can be seen from the chart above, when both Ethereum and Bitcoin fees skyrocketed, XRP fees remained at a stable level. Even though traders likely shifted to XRP for inter-exchange rebalancing, it did not get more expensive. When listed on exchanges as a base pair, this characteristic of XRP removes blockchain network load as a bottleneck for market liquidity. And here's the thing, guys. If Shay Wang has the data to support this and can put it out, in other words, if she knows, guess what the exchanges know? Do you think that the exchanges are going to want to deal with customer support and the complaints from their user base that it's all bogged down? They can't do what they need to do. But I got to tell you, BK mentioned this. I believe he was the first one to mention this, that he believed that XRP was going to be the base pairs on all exchanges, that eventually all exchanges were going to look to do that. It only makes sense. to do it, to have it as a base pair. It only makes sense. It's the cheapest, it's the fastest. It only makes sense. So, you know, the BitTrues of the world, and I think there might be 2 or 3 other that use XRP Sologenics, use XRP as like a base pair. That is going to be the trend going forward. Those numbers go up and up and up in terms of exchanges using XRP as the base. So, and liquidity is a massive thing, so we can't have it be bogged down, right? Building an efficient and resilient network that makes moving money easy for everyone, everywhere, is Ripple's core vision. Strong evidence that these features are value add for users gives our everyday work fulfillment. It's also an incentive to continue focusing on them, right? Correlation does not mean causation, and we must be very wary of various relationships when experimentation is not possible. Stay tuned, right? So great job, Shay Wayne, for pointing these out, and she's showing the numbers. It's not her speculation, it's not her theory, it's not her idea or notion. She is sharing the numbers, and these are the facts. And those things are indisputable. I love it. Great job, Shay Wayne. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you, Crypto Eddie. Shout out to Crypto Eddie for sharing that with the community as well. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all my videos and remind you of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating, or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.